Hello everybody, I have quite a lot to share with you, so I'm going to break it down into easy segments. And this first video concerns two animals. Firstly, a little donkey that was left abandoned by a rubbish tip in Tangier. And secondly, a little dog that ran in the famous international marathon in Marrakesh. Firstly, the donkey. I had hundreds of messages about this wee donkey that was abandoned in a rubbish tip in awful circumstances. And it's important to know that we are at least a 6-hour drive from Tangier, and our truck is absolutely worn out. During the pandemic, it went the length, the breadth, the width of Morocco, picking up animals in the way that I know that you are familiar with. And we're now in desperate need of a new truck. We would not have made Tangier. I posted on Facebook and Instagram, and I knew that our very dear friend in Tangier, Sally, who runs the SFT Sanctuary, and more importantly, the TNVR program in Tangier, would come up immediately to help. And she did that, and she sent one of her people out to take the little donkey back to her refuge. Now, it's important you know what Sally does. As well as having the sanctuary itself, which is huge and full, she has been responsible for TNVR program in Tangier, which has changed the face of the city. Now, for those of you that don't know, it means trap, neuter, it means sterilize, vaccinate and release. So a lot of these dogs can go back to their own communities. They are free of the risk of rabies, and the local people will care for them in the communities. That is just an amazing scheme that many of us are very familiar with, which takes me on to Michelle at Sarah in Agadir. Michelle Orsberger founded a refuge down there primarily for dogs, as did Sally. And she was the first person in Morocco to introduce a TNVR program. And during the bid for the FIFA Cup in Agadir some years ago, the local authority were rounding up stray dogs and killing them. And Michelle, true to form, intervened. She's now responsible for nearly 900 dogs. Her little dog Sarah is one of her disabled dogs and has wheels on her hindquarters, has huge spirit, and ran in the marathon. And she finished the finishing line with applause from everyone, got 2 medals for her pure spirit and determination. And she ran on behalf of all the Beldi dogs, for all dogs, but primarily the Beldi dogs in Morocco. Which takes us back to Sally, because Sally now finds herself in Tangier in the process of having to face an application by Tangier for FIFA to hold their tournament there. And lo and behold, the authorities are rounding up stray dogs, some of them the tagged dogs that Sally has released. The important thing about the 3 of us is, whilst the other 2 are primarily an expert on saving dogs, and we concentrate on equines, they both have some donkeys, not in the number that we have. And we have a few dogs, but certainly not in the number that they have. But we have always supported each other. You won't hear us publicly criticising each other, and we are all registered, recognised in Morocco. And we have always, throughout the years, tried to work with the local authorities. Now, there are lots of other charities in Morocco who haven't had that same commitment as we have of working with the local authorities, but times are changing. And for us, with our equines here, we had a convention with the local authority that we would take horses and donkeys and mules who were confiscated and care for them here. But the convention was broken because they did not come up with appropriate funding, interest or care. And we realised they're just interested in clearing the streets, not what actually happens to the animals themselves. I'm sure I'll be criticised for saying that, but I'll come to that a little later in another video. equally, Sally, who's always supported doing things properly by the mechanism of the law in Morocco, finds herself in a similar position to that of Michelle when the authorities started to not respect the dogs that were tagged and take them and kill them contrary to the instructions of the king. None of us will criticise the king, and all of us want His Majesty Mohammed VI to take notice and listen to what we are saying. And I know we are all seeking an audience with the king. This can't continue. We have a duty to those people who can't speak for themselves, those living beings who have no voice. And that is the one common bond we have between us. So it was wonderful to see Sally spring into action and support us with the little donkey. We hope he will come down to Jarjir. He's now called Tanger. And it was so wonderful to see the little disabled dog running in the marathon to cheers and applause and have 2 medals, which shows the young people, particularly in Morocco, are changing their attitude towards animals. So I hope they will all back us and support us, because I know none of us are prepared to give up. We want a better future for me, for the working animals, and for Sally and Michelle, for the dogs, the Beldy dogs, which are just wonderful, wonderful dogs, to be treated with humanity and respect. So onward and upward, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.